I'm Millie Weaver, and you're watching the Millennial Millie Show. So, who will be the next Speaker of the House? That is the question. It's looking like the Republicans are gearing up to take the majority in the House, but it's uncertain as to what the fate will be in the Senate currently right now. Well, as far as I remember, elections were supposed to happen on election night. But now it seems these elections are happening throughout election week because the most powerful nation in the world can't get their elections right. I mean, you would think that the theory behind these electronic voting machines is that it makes it more efficient, that it makes it so that we can get the votes all counted on election night. Well, it seems as though when they went back to just paper ballots and counting the votes manually with people, these election nights actually used to run more smoothly. Now we have errors with machines. We have all kinds of things going on there in Arizona, right, where machines weren't reading the ballots properly. And so now it seems like they've used that as a way to delay, install in giving us the election results. And it always seems as though after election night, when you think that all the counting of the votes is done, that Republicans have the upper hand. And then it seems like when you have these drawn out election nights that turn into election weeks, that's when these Democrats seem to be gaining all of this ground. And we're at the point now where many House seats, many Senate seats that we thought were going to go red are now going blue. And many of the candidates that President Trump had endorsed, in many ways, had their seats taken from them, right? They were running on a very strong ticket where polls were indicating that they were likely to do well in the election. And for some reason, everything just went completely opposite. And see, what the mainstream media is trying to say, they're trying to say that this is because Trump's rhetoric, right? This is because people cared more about January 6th. They cared more about Trump and his extreme rhetoric than they did about making sure that we had a Republican House and a Republican Senate so that we could fix the inflation problem in America, the soaring gas prices, bring back energy independence in America, essentially get rid of all these horrible Democrat policies that are causing these problems. But no, we're meant to believe that people voted overwhelmingly, especially in the instance of Kari Lake in Arizona, that supposedly way more people voted Republican in Arizona for the Republican treasurer than they did for Kari Lake. We're supposed to believe that? I mean, man, they should have just ran the Republican treasurer then as the governor candidate for Arizona at that rate. So things just don't seem to be adding up throughout this election week, so to speak. But it's looking like the Republicans are likely to pull off the majority in the House. So now that has everyone talking about, well, who's going to be the Speaker of the House? Well, given that many of the Trump-backed or endorsed candidates didn't do well, aka, bags were showing up in the middle of the night, right? Those candidates are kind of off the table. So what does that leave us with? It leaves us with a lot of rhinos, okay? So although the House is going to be red, we're going to have a lot of rhinos in the House. And so what are we seeing now? Well, we actually are seeing something pretty alarming because the discussion of Speaker of the House has already started to go around. Now we're seeing that the establishment is figuring out their own plan to make sure they select a Speaker of the House that will be a lame duck and essentially protect the interests of the establishment. So establishment Republicans consider working with Democrats to pick the House Speaker. So typically in this situation, you would have Republicans all unifying around a particular speaker and they would all elect them. But now we're seeing this division here where you're saying rhinos are going to actually team up with the Democrats in order to actually get a speaker in that will protect the interests of the establishment. When we have an issue where it appears surrounding January 6th that there might have been let's just say, a partnership or a team effort to take out Trump in the grassroots with the orchestrated J6 event where you had these provocateurs and other FBI informants who worked their way into right-wing groups working alongside Antifa cells, taking over the Capitol building on January 6th, just in time, right before both the House and the Senate were going to break off into separate chambers where you were going to then hear all of the election fraud evidence that was going to be brought forward. Remember, that's specifically what Rudy Giuliani was talking about in his speech on January 6th in front of the White House, is that you were going to see over the next 10 days, what he said, all of this evidence coming forward, the witnesses being heard. And then after January 6th happened, all these Republicans had the moral justification that they needed to essentially turncoat on their base, right? And so we have Mitch McConnell and Nancy Pelosi having both been in charge of the security for the Capitol, rejected the National Guard being there. They left the gates wide open, so to speak, despite having been, notified, and especially these other agencies were notified of potential threats and risks for January 6th, protest groups essentially wanting to take over the building, right? So you have this orchestration between rhinos and establishment Democrats. And, I really hope they do this in essence, because look, they're going to do what they're going to do regardless. Even if it's just the rhinos strong arming the grassroots Republicans that are in the House into picking their establishment rhino speaker. I hope that the grassroots Republicans stand their ground and say, no, we're not going to get behind this, establishment speaker that you guys want to put in, and then force the Democrats to ally with the rhinos essentially to get that speaker in. Because if they're going to be doing anything, they're just going to be unmasking the establishment. How you have this false left-right illusion, so to speak, where you think that, oh, look, Trump was given a Republican House and a Republican Senate right when he got in. Why wasn't he able to do anything, right? That's what we've been hearing, these sentiments echoing amongst the never Trumpers right now, when this is their moment in time to drive the knife into the back of Trump after they've played along that they supported him for the past couple of years because it gained them following. They got, more influence on social media for doing so. But now you see them saying, oh, well, this is all Trump's fault. Trump had his chance. Really, did Trump have his chance with a House and Senate full of rhinos, full of never Trumpers, full of Bushites? Okay? No. Okay, that's a false illusion that just because somebody wears the R before their name, that they are somehow for America and not for the establishment, and that they're not going to sell the country out. So this is the situation we're in right now. We're seeing this weird shift happening where these rhinos are now going to team up. Why? Because they're terrified about the potential for investigations. Listen to this Fox News reporter interview who I believe looks like a rhino candidate. He just got elected. His last name is Santos, and he was elected in New York. And so many establishment, like I said, rhinos got elected this election because we have a little problem with the machines, But check this out when she asks him about, what do you think the House should do? Should they investigate all these matters into essentially the establishment and their corruption? Let's see what he says.
So I don't want to waste my time in Washington and
Sorry about that. Looks like you guys weren't getting any audio on the clip. Let me back it up here.
They have kids to feed, they have to keep a roof over their head, and that's the agenda that we put on that ticket in New York, and that's what we're going to deliver here in Congress.
Congressman-elect, you talk about priorities, and you're talking about a lot of what mattered most to voters in these last elections. You also have some in your party who are already promising to go big time on investigations, House investigations, if indeed the GOP takes back the majority in the House, on COVID origins, school closures, big tech censorship, Hunter Biden, Mar-a-Lago raid, DOJ school board memo, the border crisis. Where do you stand on pushing for these investigations, noting that you just said inflation was priority for your voters?
You know, my constituents didn't send me here to waste time. They sent me here to work. Although there's our party, if parts of our party want to go into these investigations, that's their prerogative. I'm here to deliver results. I'm here to deliver prosperity. I'm here to defend the American dream, and that's making Americans' life easier. So I don't want to waste my time in Washington engaging in hyper-partisan issues. I want to come here to deliver results. I want to be able to go back to the district and bring dollars for public safety. I want to bring back dollars for education. I want to bring back resources and making our country energy independent again. That's what I'm focusing on and as my contributions to Congress. So look, we can be part of investigations. So
okay, so there you have it. Okay, that's what we don't need. We don't need a bunch of Republican rhinos in there saying, let's just forget about the Hunter Biden laptop. Let's just forget about the illegal raids. Let's forget about all the corruption. Let's forget about the J6 slanted select committee hearings. Let's forget about actually getting to the bottom of what happened on J6. Let's forget about the elections and what's going on with the election machines across the nation. Let's just forget about all of that. And then let's just reiterate some talking points that you would hear on mainstream television about inflation, gas prices, da-da-da-da-da-da, right? But not actually fix any of the problems, okay? So that's what we're anticipating. That's what we're looking forward to with the current situation in the House right now, where, you know, we had hoped that we would have seen more grassroots candidates getting in there. But of course, we know the establishment isn't going to allow that. All right. So we actually have to get to the bottom of what's going on with some of these election machines throughout the country if we really want to be able to take back control and power in the country, essentially, if the people want to take back control. So we do know that President Trump actually did say previously, though, that he would support Representative Kevin McCarthy for Speaker. So, I mean, I don't know where Trump stands, if Trump is, you know, really thinks that this guy is a good fit or a good pick. But, you know, just from what I've been hearing across the base, many people are not happy with McCarthy. And so now we're seeing other candidates coming up, such as Andy Biggs. Now, Andy Biggs, Representative Andy Biggs, he kind of represents a little bit more of the grassroots, and he is going to be challenging Representative Kevin McCarthy for that speakership. So let's go ahead and go to this clip here.
You're being reported as the top challenger to Kevin McCarthy. Come on, it sounds like you're... Can you confirm or deny whether or not this is true? I mean, it sounds like you're almost there. Maybe you want to announce.
Lydia, you know, we have a new paradigm here, and I think the country wants a different direction from the House of Representatives, and it's a new world. And yes, I'm going to be nominated tomorrow to the position of Speaker of the House. We'll see if we can get the job done. And the votes, it's going to be tough. I mean, Kevin has raised a lot of money and done a lot of things, but this is not just about Kevin. I think it's about institutional direction and trajectory, and that's where we're going to see if we have enough people who agree that we need to change the trajectory of this place and open it up so where people can actually represent their constituency in a more open and transparent manner.
So let's just make this clear. It sounds like you just announced.
Yeah, I guess I did, kind of, didn't I?
So there you have it. We have some good news.
So, Representative Andy Biggs, he's like he just announced, he is going to be challenging Kevin McCarthy. I personally think Representative Andy Biggs would be a much better Speaker of the House, because here's the reality. We need somebody to be Speaker of the House that is going to get to the bottom of these issues, to actually do proper investigations, to essentially open up a January 6th investigation where we actually get to see some of the evidence that was suppressed by the Democrats in their clown show J6 Select Committee hearings, okay? Like, for example, the information from the Sunrise Movement group, where I essentially infiltrated these left-wing groups, where they had government employees working with these left-wing groups talking about how they were going to be taking over buildings, taking over government buildings. They had an ArcGIS map of the United States Capitol. They literally mentioned January 6th as one of the dates for their Capitol disruption activities. These were heavily organized groups, radical groups, leadership of BLM, Extinction Rebellion, and many of these other Antifa-like organizations were all meeting in their private secret meetings on Zoom alongside government officials, DHS employees, CISA, senior executive service level employees, people working throughout various government agencies, talking about how they did strategic leaks to the media to try to hurt Trump, would refuse to hand over the keys of government and power to Trump, even if on election night it showed he won. They were talking about whichever way the election result went, they were still going to go through and carry out their plan. This is the establishment doing anything and everything it can, teaming up between the Democrats and the rhinos to try to destroy the conservative grassroots movement. And they know if they can try to take out Trump, that's what they will do. They will successfully accomplish destroying the grassroots movement, because it's becoming a force to be reckoned with. The rhinos are not happy about the grassroots taking over the Republican Party in many aspects. So what did they do? During this lull where there has been a power vacuum because we have been awaiting the election results, they have put information operations out there on social media to try to create discontent and infighting amongst the grassroots conservatives, infighting amongst the Republicans, where you see this fighting between Ron DeSantis and Trump. You don't think they're not targeting President Trump and both Ron DeSantis with psychological warfare operations? I mean, if you look at some of the Lincoln Project's videos they've been putting out, trying to get into the psyche and the mind of President Trump to make him feel threatened by Ron DeSantis, they are targeting our representatives. They're targeting us as individuals, and we're all infighting. What we need to do right now is we need to stay strong, and we need to stay as a united front, okay? That's what we need to do. We need to unite around our representatives. It's wonderful that Ron DeSantis won in Florida, but we know that Trump is really the best candidate to go up against the establishment, okay? I'm thinking that if they really create all this infighting between Ron DeSantis and Trump, and Ron DeSantis goes for a run, we might actually see a weaker turnout in 2024. But, like I said, we have to get to the bottom of what's been going on with the election machines. And this is exactly why the Democrats could not allow someone like Carrie Lake to have a victory in Arizona, because she would be able to start to look into what's been going on in Arizona with the election machines. All right, so let's get into some other news. I know we've all just been talking about the election for the past week, but let's talk a little bit about crypto right now, because there's really something very interesting going on. So there's a company called FTX, and apparently this is a massive blow to many people who have invested in cryptocurrencies. Apparently, this founder of FTX has made off with tons of money, billions of dollars, and apparently he has filed Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection. And originally they were saying it was potentially that there was over 100,000 creditors, but now they're saying it looks like there might be even 1 million creditors. So this guy just ran off with all these people's money. I mean, what's scary is, everyone really got into, on the internet. You saw all these people getting into crypto and, hey, you can have an encrypted transaction, which I think that's what people were going for. They want privacy. They want a little bit of protection for their money. But the problem with these cryptocurrencies is they are so volatile. You have, Bitcoin shooting up to like almost 60,000. I think it was $60,000 a coin. And then it drops back down 20, 30,000, lower. And then it goes down low and up high. I mean, and what happens is in these highs and these lows, people are just losing their life savings. And then the people who created the coins or who know how to work the market, they become billionaires, they become rich. But to me, it seems like it's very much a gamble because it's very high stakes, very risky. And now we're seeing many people, like it said, over 1 million creditors. All right. So that means 1 million people have lost money. And a lot of people, I mean, some of these, cryptocurrency experts, so to speak, out there on the internet were telling people, oh yeah, take a mortgage out on your home, invest it all into this crypto coin or do this, that, and the other. And people have just lost their life savings. It's actually really sad. Some people have actually been committing suicide over losing their whole life savings in these crypto exchanges. So, to see someone essentially do this Bernie Madoff almost style heist on all these people who invested in crypto it's heartbreaking, it's sad. But let's look more into who is this person. Who is Sam Bankman-Fried? He is the owner of FTX. Apparently, he donated nearly $127 million to Democrat candidates. That means he is the second largest donor to the Democrat Party aside from George Soros. And he's this guy who now just made off with a bunch of people's money. Interesting. Let's learn a little bit about him and what type of things he'd like to donate to, which, this is kind of a clip from a Puff piece, but check it out. You can learn more about the guy.
Me is the most generous billionaire in the world, and I found him.
Hi, my name is Sam, and this is my story.
Last year, this 29-year-old guy donated $50 million. Next year, he's planning to donate $500 million a year. And next decade, he will probably give away more than $10 billion.
The amount of good that you can do for the future of the world is really large, and it's way more than you can do to actually make yourself happy with anything like that amount of money.
And he is funding everything you can think of. Global warming.
It's one of the biggest problems that we have to tackle together as a world.
COVID-19 preparedness.
We have to be ready for the next pandemic.
There's a lot of speculation right now about the connections between FTX and Ukraine. It turns out that FTX set up a website for users to send cash to Ukraine's central bank. That's led to speculation that the U.S. government might have sent taxpayer money to Ukraine, which then ended up at FTX and ultimately to Democrats. Now, to unpack what we know for sure, we're joined by Miranda Devine. She's a columnist.
Okay, so there you have it, all right? So it gives you an idea. This is the type of person that created this FTX cryptocurrency and, donated all this money to all these left-leaning organizations, Democrat Party candidates, Ukraine, other things. It makes you wonder the real reason, like, what is the real reason for this Chapter 11 bankruptcy filing? Is this to try to put a stain on crypto, to essentially ruin it? Because, the government has kind of had an adversarial relationship with some of these crypto markets, so to speak, trying to regulate it further. But, when you see instances like this, I guess it makes you see, well, I guess this is why you might want to regulate something like this, where people are putting their entire life savings into something only for someone to just vacuum that money out of the economy and steal it or funnel it into other countries or funnel it into political campaigns. So Elon Musk has came out and he wants to know whether Sam Bankman-Fried's FTX laundered money for Biden's Democrats. So was there some kind of a money laundering scheme? Is this why they're trying to bankrupt the company, essentially bankrupt it, close it up, roll it up, run off essentially like a bag man with everyone's money, and then, thanks very much, folks. Thanks for your business and goodbye, right? So who knows if we'll see that. I know people like Elon Musk and other big tech billionaires have invested a lot in crypto. So I could see how they would definitely be concerned about that right there. All the more reason why I personally don't like to invest in cryptocurrencies because, like I said, it's way too volatile. And there are other options out there so that you can actually have and engage in engage in encrypted transactions, but it's not something where that price is going to be fluctuating. Such as with QX. Inside QX, which has its own private hardware network, QX actually has its own digital token system. So with the QX token, which you can only use inside of QX, where business owners can have their businesses on there, buy, sell, trade, advertisers can advertise using the token, people can put money in their wallet to make purchases or do whatever they want inside of that universe, so to speak. But with the QX token, the value of the token never changes, but it still allows you to engage in encrypted private transactions. No blockchain, where essentially with blockchain, they can keep track of all the hands that these bitcoins or cryptocurrencies exchange from. This is just a means for engaging in private encrypted transactions without having to essentially do heavily processed transactions where bank information is being exchanged in every transaction, so to speak. So there are other options out there, and I really think that this is the future of coins or tokens, so to speak. I think more people are going to start getting away from these volatile cryptocurrencies, which just fluctuate in price so much. And, I think a lot of people think, oh, I'm going to get rich. I'm going to make all this money. I'm going to buy on a down and hopefully it goes up. And, usually a lot of people, if you're not some expert in it, you're probably just going to lose a lot of money. That's probably what's going to happen. So just be careful. Treat it as gambling, because that's pretty much what you're doing when you're putting your money into these cryptocurrency exchanges where that, money's going up, down. It's gambling, okay? But it's not where you'd want to put all your money, right? And there are other things, like I said, with the QX token, where you can engage in those private encrypted transactions without having to worry that your data is being shared or, companies are going to be keeping track of what you buy. Because look, guys, that's what it's all moving toward. It's all moving toward big data, creating a social credit score system where everything that you do online is going to be put into these credit scores where essentially they can try to lower your credit score, which would then affect your ability to purchase a car, buy a house, get a mortgage. All those things will be affected if they try to successfully institute this social credit score system and the ESG system that they have ready in play for us. So this is all the more reason why we need to start operating in private networks. This is the solution. Private networks with their own private encrypted tokens, which never change in value. It's just a medium of exchange where you guys can engage with each other. Stay outside of the system. So check it out, guys, QX.tv. So if you don't know what QX is an electronics company where inside this new universe, the portal universe, you can become just a viewer, sit back and watch the content on your TV. Right now, QX has a TV box, but there are going to be other QX electronic devices coming soon. But with the QX TV box, you plug it into your television, you sit back and relax and watch all kinds of content. Everything you're watching, everything you're commenting, doing in the chats, the comments, right? Your purchases, everything is not being tracked. They don't collect and store that data. You're private, everything's encrypted, and this is how it's going to be, guys. We have to start valuing our privacy to protect ourselves from big tech and the surveillance state that's really being built up around us while we enjoy the luxuries of many of these other social media sites, right? They're building up the surveillance state around us. You can become a creator on QX, right? Where you can post your videos, your content, and monetize your videos and content. You can become a merchant where you can put your products for sale on there, a free e-commerce store where you can sell products on other people's portals. You can pay other portal creators to run ads of your products, and then people can buy with the click of the button on their remote, and that creator can get a promo fee, they can get some kind of incentivization, whatever you work out between each other, and you can see exactly how well your products are selling on here, and you don't have to worry about any competitors like these other big companies where they collect and harvest all your data as a merchant on their platform only to sell it to third parties. Then those third parties essentially sell it, they figure out, hey, look, these products are doing really well. We should undercut all these small merchants by just having our cheaply made in China product compete with them. So your analytics are protected. You're protected from chargebacks because you're using the exchange of the QX tokens. You could also become an advertiser, like I was saying with merchant. I mean, you can put your own ads, create your own ads and video ads, and pay to have advertisement campaigns on other people's portals. So check it out, guys. Join QX, join the crowd. There's already 2,322 users, 104 live streams, merchants. Get your QX TV box today to become part of the new portal universe. Guys, you can also use promo code MILLIE, MILLIE, in order to receive a $15 discount. We need to start supporting content creators, entrepreneurs that are patriots that love America. When you vote, when you essentially purchase your Apple phones or all these other, Roku devices, these other tech products, you're voting with your wallet. And when these other products are censoring people who believe in the same ideologies as you, you shouldn't be voting for those tech companies. You need to be voting and supporting tech companies that are created by patriots that love freedom, value freedom of speech, value privacy, and value data protection. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed the Millennial Millie show today. Remember to go to QX.tv to get your QX TV box and use promo code Millie. I'm Millie Weaver, signing off.